children's museum today, there was this booth earlier. Because, different things. Like, there was this one that was prepare for college, and it was like, huh. We don't got shit to save back for college. And I doubt we ever will. He's gonna have to be either smart enough to get scholarships or work really hard and pay for his own school. As long as his dad and I have a roof over our heads, he could live at home while doing that. But it's just not there. Way to make that sort of thing, they're always throwing it in your face. They start preaching about college while the kids are still small, and they did the same thing to us too, but college turned out to not be the answer to anything. All it was is a big path to debt, and then some of the colleges are dishonest, so if you don't already have the means to sue them, you're basically at their mercy. Both colleges signed me up for loans I didn't give permission for. One of them actually told me that they were doing it, and I said no. And the lady basically said something to the effect of, who are they going to believe? And that was the first one. The second one, I found out later. They took out all these extra loans, did not account for the spending of any of the money. I had just checked how much funds I had, for school through the student loans and all that, and then suddenly it's changed. That one was, I was on top of it, so it was pretty hard to miss. After that, I was like, there's nothing I can do to get a degree at this point. The place that my loans were originally with the first time, they did some underhanded crap, which is actually a big thing that they got in trouble for, but it didn't really help or fix anything that they did to me or anyone else that they did this to. It doesn't fix the problem. It doesn't right the wrongs. All they did was fine them some money, and I think the people that were included in the class action got like maybe $5 to $7 a piece. That's nothing. They took a lot more from us. I bet they didn't even feel it. They didn't even feel it. I'll bet anything. But the people that they affected still have to live with it. So I can't go back to school. I actually finally got into a program, but I'll only have my student loans taken care of if I stay on it for 10 years. And in that time, someone could just come in and get rid of it. Otherwise, I'll probably be stuck with this for the rest of my life. We can't save up for kiddos' college. We don't have the money to, and we're still dealing with debt from our own. Gene went to a technical college for computers. He was just short of graduating whenever his epilepsy became a thing. They actually think that it's because of the beatings that he got as a kid and because of basically his head getting hit so many times that caused him to have epilepsy. So it's not genetic or anything. He was just beaten that much. Sometimes I want to travel back in time. Go back and save him, but then he wouldn't be the person that I know today, and you can't travel back in time anyway. And the person I met all those years ago, whenever we met, is an amazing, kind, and loyal human being. And while those things didn't make him, I guess I'm a selfish person because he wouldn't understand some of the things that I went through if he hadn't gone through some shit himself. So, like, I can't change it. But also, if he didn't go through it, we wouldn't have that understanding between us. And it's there, because there are things that you don't even see unless you've been through stuff. So there are things that we don't even have to say. We know where things come from. There are explanations that don't even have to be complete. Because we've both been through some shit. We both chose not to become the sort of person that does that sort of shit. But it leaves its mark on you, and it's hard for people who haven't been through it to understand it. They either feel sorry for you, or they think that they want me to, there's different things. Sometimes they'll feel sorry for you, sometimes it's that they want to fix you, and a lot of the time it's that they don't understand. My ex-husband didn't understand why I didn't want to put Rowan in a shirt that said monster. This is something that people normally do, mommy's little monster and all that. And I was just I can't do that. No, we're not doing that. I just would not let him be put in that onesie with the word monster on it, because he wanted to get that. I wouldn't do it. It wasn't because I'd been called monster or anything. It was just I knew what monsters look like. Really looked like. And I didn't want that word just anywhere near anything that he was wearing. Not even as a joke. I'm not big on symbols of death, but I guess for Halloween we're getting some little Jeep skeletons. that I can deal with, especially if I rationalize it. But I don't like symbols of death. Things like skulls and stuff. Because once you've seen someone die, you don't want to see that. I don't know if other people are affected differently. I don't do fake blood. I don't do a lot of things, actually. I mean, I'll draw it, but like on an actual person, that's different. It's just different. Chris wants to be a skeleton. I guess if, as long as it doesn't look real, I can handle something if it comes on his costume. But there's just stuff that you don't do, and where somebody else would say, wow, that's stupid, they just wouldn't understand, or maybe they'd feel pity for you. There is no pity between Gene and I. There's just understanding. He's been through his shit, I've been through mine, and we survived. I mean, there's nothing else that can really be said about that. You've got, like, most people that go around talking like they've been through crap haven't been through shit. They're just a bunch of punk kids pretending. The people who go through shit, there's a level of stuff that doesn't really even hit you. Like, you can remember it. Yeah, it fucked you up, but like as you go on in life, there will be moments that you're just like, oh my god, you know, like it just sort of hits you in like an oh my god moment, and you gotta keep a straight face through that, you know, and just, I don't know how to explain it, just moments that you're just like, that thing that like earlier today, I had a moment where it just hit me. I was told a lot, you know, by my grandmother, your grandfather is the only dad you've never known, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. What I did was I went and journaled before it was time to go. Chris was still laying down, so I went and journaled, and then we got ready and we went. But, you know, I got him up afterwards. But it was because, like, it's hard to explain, because, like, he wasn't my dad, and he didn't act like my dad. I was just told that I was supposed to think of him like that. Father-daughter dances? He didn't do those with me. Take me fishing? Once. No, twice. Once, whenever he taught me how to fish, and there were pictures for that, and once whenever my brother was down visiting, whenever we were teenagers. We didn't go to fishing otherwise. I had to take what little he taught me and expand on it on my own. He didn't take me fishing. We didn't go fishing. I didn't get to learn how to skate. He didn't teach me how to dance. He didn't do the things that he did with my mom and my aunt and my uncle. There were things that we did do, but the things that our experiences were vastly different. My grandfather was my grandfather, but But he wasn't my father. And he didn't try to fill in those gaps either. But he also didn't, and I didn't expect him to. And it just kind of struck me that I was supposed to expect him to. Because they were supposed to be taking me in as theirs. But that's not what happened. Other kids, sometimes they had a grandma or grandpa that stepped in, or an uncle during father-daughter stuff. I didn't. I just sort of sat there by myself, watching. There was more than once I just kind of walked off to cry. My grandfather didn't think anything of me waiting at school till 9 o'clock at night. High school, at least. Waiting for him. Grandmother could drive, but she didn't want to. So that was just, I guess to him it wasn't a big deal. But to me, it wasn't surprising, which is probably very telling. But I had plenty of feelings on it. I was just tired of any fight that would happen whenever I spoke up. Everything was a fight with my grandmother. Everything. It would go from, this makes me feel this way, to, just like your mother, blah, 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 you ungrateful child. You know, and she would attack my character, and I would just sort of shut down. And then she would attack my mom, and I would scream back. Because I didn't care what she said about me. I mean, it hurt, but I didn't care. She was gonna say it, but whenever it came to my mom, I was like, shut up, that's not true, and you know it. Mom did learn from her mistakes. All the lies that my grandmother said about me, she said about my mom first. And my grandfather just didn't stop it. The worse it got, the more he retreated. I mean, there was a point that he'd take me with him sometimes, you know, he'd go out to the workshop. But that was more because I wanted to spend time with him, and he always talked about how they'd had plans, you know. But I was there, so they couldn't just travel around or anything like that. And then sometimes my grandfather would say your mother instead of your grandmother, and I would say grandma or mama. And your grandmother, well, she acts like your mom. No. A woman didn't act like a mother to me. A woman acted like I was an item, a thing to control, not a human being with thoughts, feelings, and literally anything. She thought that she could control me down to what I felt about very specific things and thoughts, and she used me for attention. She made me sick, and she used me for attention. She lied until someone would actually give me something. Just because. And then it was just a never-ending spiral. There were stages. It changed over the years. It didn't even stay the same. Went from one end of the spectrum where she started to the other side. They didn't, because everything like that has spectrums. I didn't have it. I didn't have bipolar. Somewhere along the way, every time somebody would question it, she'd just change doctors. We'd change offices, entire agencies. I was never at the same school long enough for anyone to really care enough to want to say anything. And that's bad. Like, sometimes it was because she wanted it to happen, and sometimes it was because whatever program I was in, because I couldn't function with all that crap in my system. Just change the lines. They'd tell me that I had to go to a different school, so I had to. It wasn't a great thing. It actually made there be more. I know in a perfect world people are supposed to care about everybody, but that's not how it works. In the real world, and yes, this also includes school, people care about the people that are around them for longer. So the kids who are just there for a year or two and gone, nobody really had the time to care. And it was a lot easier for them to dehumanize you too. So there would be kids who would make fun of you for being in those classes, and they didn't really think about it, in part because you didn't start there. They didn't know you. All they knew was the things that they thought about the label that they were putting on you. That was it. And that label was sped kid or special ed. Yeah, I couldn't function like that. I went from a straight A student 2 years behind. My life was basically stolen from me. And unlike someone who died, I was just sort of left to live with it and pick up the pieces. There weren't really any pieces. So I had to make those two. And then I had to figure out how to put something of a life together when I'd already been robbed so thoroughly. There's nothing sacred. in the mental health system. There's no accountability, so people that do things that they're not supposed to get away with it. I've learned to be a person that I don't want to say that doesn't happen to,